G'day, it's Mark and welcome back to the channel. And today we're back at Harvey's Wreckers and we're going to check out the Holden section, see what they have. As I said before, with the demise of the Australian car industry, you know, it's worth grabbing your parts for your Australian cars while you can. Check out the other episode I did on the Fords, particularly the AU Falcon, and just the fact that I noticed that a lot of the cars are disappearing. Certainly the numbers that you saw 2 years ago on AUs is a lot less than what there is now. So anyway, please enjoy and give the episode a thumbs up, and also hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't, and let's get into it. Okay, so first cab off the rank, look at the oldest car here. Looks like an HZ, could be a WB, but I think it's an HZ Holden Ute. It's been really heavily stripped, although this bench seat, it's got a tear in the driver's side, but it's actually pretty good bench seat. Certainly worth taking and repairing. The dash has all been removed. Very heavily rusted, you can see there in the pillars, lower sills. Look at that, geez. Quarters, but even things like that, they're worth taking. Tailgate, it's dented, but it's not rusty, surprisingly. These bumper ends certainly would be worth taking, and also things like this. So that's been damaged. Some idiot's taken that off in a rough manner. But there's a lens there, so there's some decent parts still on the car. Then there's a VX Commodore in a lemony yellow colour. Again, very rusty, but you know, door handles, some of this trim. There's the T-bar shifter. Also a sill plate there. Had cloth interior. Seats aren't too shabby. It's had seat covers on it, the armrests. There's still some parts here for somebody that might be interested. Heavily rusted, but you know, some seats and some side protection molds. Window winders. Something worth salvaging, I think. I don't know how old this car is. VHB, what, 82 model, something like that. Just looking up the code. 142, whatever that was. And you've got it's like a VN Commodore wagon. And there's another VN here, which is an LE. I remember those when they were new. Showing my age there. It's got the V6 in it. Again, if you've got a VN, that's damage, but this is good. These are good. This is good. The winders. There'll still be some parts in here. Look at the door trim over that side. It's not too bad. Sun visors. And quite an elaborate interior, this LE. Even the seat mechanism, these. Oh, it's a screwdriver. Thanks. Quite a nice interior. Seats are pretty good, actually. Again, a car that was used to be as common as, hardly any left. We got some VRs or VSs. There's another line on the other side which I'll check out as well. There's still quite a few of these. This looks like a VN, another VR or VS. But, you know, front guard, a little bit of minor damage, but certainly parts worth saving. Try and walk around without killing myself here. It's a VS Commodore, another VR or VS, probably a VS. Ecotech, that's a VS. Check out my episodes on the Commodore series, the VH, that yellow car we saw, The VN, I've done an episode on that as well, and also the VS is the latest one I've done. I'll be doing all the Commodores, but that's where I'm up to at the moment. This looks like a Panther mica. I used to order that for my company cars in a V8 Berliner. This looks like just like an executive. Again, still some salvageable parts. So mirrors, nice mirrors. Nothing wrong with that. Worth grabbing. Headlights, worth grabbing. Some more VNs. Custom, I think that's a homemade job there. Looks like a VR or VS. These will be VS's because of the Ecotech engine. A lot of seats. Dashboard looks pretty good. Tail lights. I think it's past its warranty and roadside these days. It's a VS as well. This looks like a Calais or a Berliner. I think it's a Calais actually. Yeah, it's a Calais. This is a VS Calais. 6-cylinder. More VS's here. They're all 6s. It's quite a few actually. It's a decent dashboard insert or surround. It's pretty cool. There's the Vacationer. Again, that's covered in my episodes, the Holden episodes. So again, watch those if you haven't already to get some more detailed history and background on the cars. It's been stripped, but there'll still be some parts that are useful to people. That lower door speaker, for example, down the front there, just kind of there. There's a VR VS Ute. It's been not much left of that at all. It's been picked clean. Can't get through that door, but doesn't look like there's much left of that one at all actually. When you're into well, VTs, but these are VXs. I worked on the VT and the VX program. I was responsible for the differentiation on the Berliner and the Calais. I'll cover that off when I get to those models. Also had the wood grain surround on the Berliner on there, and full wood grain on the Calais. Remember when these cars were new and I was driving these as camouflage vehicles before the launch. And now seeing them like this, got their V6. You also see, so I don't know if it'll be on still visible, but the differentiation here, we had some more simplified. So these tail lights are in really good nick, and there's another one in there. This is a Lumina, special value pack. But you know, boot lid's fine, still some good parts here. Not sure if the back of this Berliner, if it's got its grille. You need grille and headlights, and then we had a more elaborate back on this. Well, you can't see it because it's been same as the base one here, but then have another light in this section here, which looks really good actually. But again, there's still some nice parts in this car. Nice big boot. Look how big that boot is. It's huge actually. Forgot how large the boot was. I'll be covering these models in my Commodore History Series too, so stay tuned, make sure you're subscribed. I was talking about the differentiation before, and I was responsible for this loopy headlight on the VX models, on the base exec and SS and so on. Then the lights that you saw earlier on that Berliner, the more sort of angular lights, were on the high series Berliners and Calais. This looks like another, here's an S-Pack. I think this is a VR. It's a VS next to me here. No, this could be a VS actually. I think this is a VS. S-Pack. VT, nice doors on that left side, nothing wrong with those. Rear bumper looks good. Nice tail lights, decor panel, it's got a crack in it. See, they had Holden on this VT model, which was like a retro logo. Sort of the font was like the old model, original Holdens. Quite a few parts still in this. Good seats. Again, you know, if you want to get these cars, now's the time. Get the parts while you can, and while they're still around, they're fairly cheap. This is the VT front end, had the nostril grille, which Kevin Wales sort of insisted we keep that as the theme. I wanted to get rid of it on VX, I had to maintain it on the Series 2 cars, but you can see this has got more of the standard headlight as opposed to the VX, which had this sort of drop down light here. But again, I'll cover that when I get to these models in the Commodore History Series. More VTs, they're all V6s. I mean, there would be V8s, but I'm sure their motors have been taken out. Door trims, hang-on panels. You know, still quite a bit to choose from here. There's quite a few of these around. They sold extremely well, so, you know, I guess huge supply. It's a VX. Another VX. It's a cool story how those lights came to be, but I'll cover that later. Here's a poor Statesman long wheelbase WH car. Really cool. Gee, it's had the roof cut off it. My God, that's pretty full on. Nothing left really. Leather interior. Seats are actually in good nick, surprisingly. Bit dirty from letting the weather in, but they're actually in much better nick than what you'd expect. Wow. It's been cut off. Maybe it had a sunroof in it. Someone wanted the sunroof. Decent bonnet on that one. Or hood. There's a Calais. This is the old script that was used, like the old HZ Holden type script was used on the Calais. Some interior parts, seats and things. This is a 6-cylinder car. Dash. More VTs. VX here. Here's a VU Ute. This is my program I headed up from product planning. Again, I'll cover this in the episode later, but this El Camino roof. These are really cool, these cars. Not as much storage area in the back as the Ford, but more sporty and more swoopy, more integrated, I guess. It doesn't have a separate tray area, but this sort of El Camino sort of style. It was pretty controversial and had a lot of trouble getting that over the line, but I'll cover that off later. And I think the other point is that these VT and VX wagons, this was the first time Holden really offered a big full-size wagon to compete with the Fords, and I thought they were really good. They had independent rear suspension as well, and very nice to drive, very comfortable. You can see it's a big car, and they sold well too, because finally Holden had a large full-size wagon to match the Ford, because Ford had always had bigger station wagons, so these were nice. I actually had a Berliner VT wagon company car, and my boss had a VT V8 Calais. Mine was only a V6, and he wanted a wagon, so he said, do you want to swap? I said, sure. So I ended up with a V8, Holden V8 308 Calais VT, and he took my Berliner wagon, 6-cylinder. See a huge amount of room in the back. As I said, with the IRS, it's really nice to drive. If you loaded them up too heavily though, you did get in a tyre scrub with the IRS. This was a colour I had released when I was in product planning. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a beigey khaki colour. I got the idea from when I was in Holden, New Zealand at the Vectra. We had a similar colour on the Vectra, and it sold really well, and I just said, let's get rid of colours like beige. You know, we used to call it 90-day beige because it hung around so long in stock. Have a colour like this, which is quite serviceable, and people who buy beige will buy this colour, but it's also a lot more stylish, so it won't end up as a, you know, a around the dealer's neck in terms of old stock. So we got rid of beige, and I'm happy to say I killed beige at Holden, and we brought this colour around instead. You're getting into these VY, VZs. I didn't really like these as much. I think the earlier, softer cars were better looking, more American. This was sort of more European. You had Peter Hannenberger in charge, who's a German, and so that's more Volkswagen sort of Opel style took over. I didn't like it as much, more angular. Again, I'll cover these off when I do these episodes, but same body, but just... And funnily enough, the VY kept this little parking light here, which was a throwback to the VX cars, and it disappeared on VY. I mean, they still sold very well, but I didn't really like the angular look. But a lot of parts still here, things like tail lights. You get to the point where things like that'll be hard to get. Tailgates, doors, lower sills, front guards, bumpers, all this stuff that one day will be very hard to get. You think about it, HQ Holdens, HZs, they used to be in the wrecking yards by the hundreds or the thousands. Where are they now? They're all gone. They're in collectors' garages, or they've been crushed. So equally, you just think about maybe putting some parts aside while you can. Here's another VU ute, that nice, well, it's taken the top part off, but you've got that nice El Camino style about it. This one here's had a big hit. Recorder, I would have written that car off, no problem. Still quite a few. I mean, even with VT and VX though, not that many cars considering how many they sold, but there's still quite a few VY and VZ. So there's the VY, you can see that little drop down for the indicator, and then VZ doesn't have that anymore. It's got very much an Opel kind of look to it. As I said, I prefer the more American style. There's another Holden ute there. If you've got an SS ute, you want some tail lights, or you've got a VY or VZ SS, it's worth grabbing a few bits and pieces while you can. Then we get into the billion-dollar baby. We get into the VE Commodore. These big flared wheel arches, a bigger car. We thought the VT was a big car when that was launched. And this thing was even bigger and heavier. And then sold overseas, as Pontiacs and Chevrolets and things like that in the Middle East, South as well. I'll say South America, but I think that was more the earlier VT, VX type cars. Still some good parts. The guard's no good, but that can be fixed. But this is good. Nothing wrong with that. If you check out my episodes, you'll see that there's an episode on where these VE and VF cars are being stolen, particularly the HSV and SS ones are being stripped or burned out, which is terrible to do that to our Australian heritage, our automotive heritage, but check that episode out. It's just such a waste. It's a terrific colour. Really like this. Just not about to tell you what it's called, but yeah, I like this. It's like a metallic reddy orange. Another V6. There's a headlight down there. There's a wagon. Here's one of the sport wagons designed by Tony Stolfo. A smaller wagon than the previous VT to VZ series, with a small camback sort of style. It's more sporty and more retail focused, but less of a load carrying car. And then here's the VE utes, which look really cool. Again, what a shame seeing them wrecked now. But again, if you need tail lights, look at that, perfect condition. Even looks like a tonneau. Front guard, there's some good parts here. Another sport wagon. These weren't exported to America, but I think this would have been quite good, a little Pontiac or a Chevrolet station wagon. Series 2. Someone's tried to take the badge off and wrecked it. Yeah, if you remove parts, try and have a bit of care. Otherwise, just wrecking it for someone else. You could have used it. Good doors. Yeah, there's still quite a few of these cars around. But again, these things, the next 2-3 years, these things will be pretty few and far between. So again, if you need like a nice door, or 2 or 4, or tail light, you know, this is a VE. Get them while you can. Another wagon. Look at this. This is a beautiful colour. Such a nice car. Would have been a lovely car back in the day. Not sure what happened to it. It's got a big dent in it or not, but there's another wagon here. But again, nice tail lights. This might have even been a V8 to double check on. It's 6 SP6. Yeah, what a shame. Quite a few wagons here actually. Surprising. Someone's taking the seats. Before you know it, these cars will be gone. So again, if you want parts, start putting them aside, start coming to collect them, because before you know it, they won't be here. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's any parts that you saw or any cars that you thought, oh, I would mind some parts on from that, get in touch with Harvey's Wreckers at Langwarrin in Victoria. Just look them up online. You can get their details there. But thanks very much for watching. If you haven't, as I said before, check out the AU, the Ford episode of the cars here at Harvey's that I did a little while ago. And please give the episode a like and hit that subscribe button for a whole lot more old car content. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.